Hey guys, it's time for Season 2, Episode 2, Sword. So the episode starts with Halsey talking to a sort of caretaker who's taking care of her. And then they start playing a game and talking. But then she starts getting a nosebleed as Halsey tries to extract information from her, trying to see who's the man who keeps her in and all of that. She's like trying to escape or something, but she very much doesn't have a lot of patience here. So basically, Halsey has been somewhere all this time, and all those bounties and stuff, they're basically like fake. And then the caretaker dies to Halsey's annoyance. You can see she doesn't really care about life. So then Kai and Riz start talking, and Riz is basically recovering from the plasma grenade still from season 1 at the end when she got stuck. And they basically talk, like, oh, maybe she should give it a rest, more time to heal. Maybe you talk to Ackerson. But Riz just wants to keep going. As the Master Chief is talking with Kai about his sort of mental health, his, what's going on with him, he starts noticing the board, which is not digital for some reason, but the Spartan board where they are on operations, and he notices that Cobalt team is basically having a strange status. John kind of gets irrationally angry at the guy just doing his job, moving the signs, and tries to get more information out of him, like who's telling him to do that, who is it, Keys, is it Ackerson, and he's just trying to do his job. Basically, they were supposed to go on a mission, but then they noticed their status is not what they expected, like on standby. So John just gets angry. So now with the return of Kwan Ha, she's back in the rubble, and she's trying to sort of blend in, not get noticed. And then there are these groups of slavers, basically. Slave catchers, it's basically what they are. Then they find her because she has a tag, and they try to get her to return her to who I guess owns her at the moment. Indentured work is still a form of slavery. So then they pursue her, and then they try to catch her, but then she manages to kill one of them by sending him off into space, fights the other one off, stabs it. She takes off her tag from her ear and stabs one of the guys with it, and it kills him. Honestly, the other guys pursuing her should have won probably. She did try to use her brains more, but the guy on top of her, it feels like, he's probably way stronger. So Riz is healing now, and she goes to see this other guy who used to be a Spartan like them, but with the augmentations, they sort of failed him. At first he was fine, but then he started going blind. And they talk about, healing and personal stuff, the relationship, how she wanted him to tell him, but he didn't want to be seen as not one of them. Basically, he knows a guy who can help her heal. The Master Chief goes to see Ackerson, and they talk about how they didn't mention what really happened on the planet. And then Ackerson tells her that that's not what the Marines said, that, she didn't corroborate his story. And this is so weird. First of all, you have helmet cams on Marines and on Spartans, especially on Spartans. So I don't understand why this isn't used. All throughout the games and the comics, you see that there's the helmet cams that happen, and that's how they analyze stuff. Happens in Escalation, happens in Halo CE with the Flood, and it's not brought up here. And Ackerson is sort of being a jerk for the sake of the audience seeing him as unlikable. He just takes Chief as crazy, and this seems like it lacks a sort of military weight to all of it. It's just all very loose. So then back at the rubble, we see Soren's wife, and she's talking with his crew, but they sort of start making excuses instead of telling her the truth. She's basically trying to get him back and all of that. Kwan and Soren's son then start talking, and Kwan basically is in trouble, and he tries to sort of tell her, yeah, I know about grown-up stuff and so on, because Kwan doesn't want to tell, what happened with the ear and all of that. And he holds out hope for his father to return, but she's basically like all angry and tells him like he's not coming back. So, he goes away. So then we see this sort of training session with Riz, and she sort of, well, honestly, I like how they're moving, like the physicality. They jump really high, they move really fast. Anyways, she's sort of still healing, and she's struggling with it, with the training, and they're, shooting at each other to try and train. And the Master Chief is sort of pushing her so much because like they have to train and all of that, which is honestly different from like the real Master Chief. Like, yes, the Spartans push each other, all of that, yes, but there's more sort of care for each other. You can compare it to the scene in Halo 5 when the Spartans are concerned for each other, but they still keep going. There's a sort of difference here. Here it's sort of more brash, there's less connection here. But Riz is not fully healed, so she kind of doesn't manage to make it. Spartan sort of shouldn't take as long to heal, I feel. But anyways, she just falls, and it's kind of like, ouch. So we return with Halsey and her caretaker, and she dies again. Tries to get more information out of her, etc., but she, plops down and dies again. So this, well, when you're viewing it, it's like weird because, you were like, didn't she already die? But this is gonna make sense really soon. As the Master Chief goes to the soldier's house from the first episode, Kai and Ackerson have a talk, and Kai vouches for the Master Chief. And Ackerson is like, now he seems like he's a good guy who's concerned about John. John gets to the soldier's house, and they start talking, and she wants him gone, but he doesn't want to go away. So then the soldier's mom comes in, and she figures out that he was at the planet and all of that when it happened, the glassing in the first episode. And then she invites him over for dinner. Meanwhile, Riz is with the guy who's supposed to heal her, and it's interesting because there's a lot of spiritual stuff. She starts feeling something, and he tells her that it's her pain, and there's a lot of talk about the pain not only being physical, it's more than that, like, it's either spiritual or emotional, and I guess they're trying to, like I said in the first thing, lead up to a more spiritual side. So then there's this sort of dinner scene with the family. Will this be a love interest? Let's hope it doesn't turn out that way. But the family is sort of trying to tease him and sort of talk like, oh, who's this big guy, etc. And they're like, oh, he's a Spartan. He must have every girl and guy all over him. And, good inclusivity, that's good. We also had more inclusivity with the recent story in canon about Adam. So anyways, then they go off to be alone. So they start having a one-on-one conversation, and she basically tells him that she didn't say the truth about what happened because, well, what seems to be like survivor's guilt. Like, the comm got hit, stuff went down, and then it's like they were being taken left and right. They don't know what's going on and all of that. And then she's like, oh, I could have died. They could have killed me, but they didn't. They didn't kill me. Why is this? I don't understand. Like, and then I don't really vibe with it. Yes, I understand survivor's guilt and all of that, but this feels like there should be more military debriefing, and again with the camera stuff and military not emotional but psychiatric and psychological assistance. So there too. And honestly, in a way, this feels contrived to just add to more drama. This plot point is just made up to bringing more drama between Ackerson and John. And speaking of Ackerson, he reveals himself to Halsey finally. The purpose of what's going on with Ackerson and Halsey is unknown. Even Halsey doesn't know what's going on. But this version of Halsey had a pomegranate tree, and she burnt it down because she thought like picking up the fruit was like beneath her, which is honestly kind of weird. But Halsey tries to figure out what's going on. She doesn't get answers, and she finds out Cortana is with Ackerson. And also there's new caretaker coming in, and the tree starts burning down, revealing they're in a sort of hologram area. Some of it is like half real, the other part is like hologram, so yeah. So then the Master Chief goes around digging up information on the Spartans, where they're deployed and all of that. He has some form of clearance, so he goes on, finds out that Cobalt team is still on the planet, and so on. Visegrad Relay. Does that sound familiar? You see the hologram of Reach as well, but you can basically see we're getting the events of Halo Reach Winter Contingency, and instead of having Noble Team, we will be having Cobalt Team this time. But yeah, honestly, a lot of this information is sort of kept from each other. Sure, there's military stuff, but it does remind me a little bit of when in Star Wars, when, Holdo doesn't tell Poe the plan, so, they start going off in their own directions because they don't communicate. Then Ackerson goes to talk to Cortana, and Cortana is willing to cooperate against Halsey. Then they're sort of running some sort of simulations, and the simulations keep indicating the same result. There's like nothing they can do, but we're not sure what the simulations are about. My guess is that it's about the Covenant invading planets and on Reach, sort of what they have to do to keep them away. They're sacrificing the outer colonies to keep the inner colonies free from all of the Covenant. Kind of happens in the lore, the actual canon, but it doesn't really happen that way. Like, it's not like we need to sacrifice the outer colonies first. They happen to fall and the Cold Protocol gets enacted, but it's not like, let's just kill them all so we'll be fine. But yeah, they have like, I think they're simulating how long until the Covenant arrive. So the Master Chief goes with Silver Team, and instead of going training like they have been doing, they decide to go investigate what's been going on. The Master Chief tells them, about the relay, all of that, about Cobalt Team. So they're gonna go try and get Cobalt Team back, because Cobalt Team things are just being sent on like these missions that have nothing to do with anything. So they don't know the Covenant are there. They're not expecting Covenant. And Silver Team, not Blue Team. Silver Team found out, what's going on, so they try to rescue them. And this is a departure from canon where, again, Noble Team went ahead, and Blue Team was along with the other twos, were on Reach. Well, they came to Reach much later to be outfitted for Operation Red Flag. So they go get them. And then at the Visegrad Relay, something exciting starts happening. The Covenant is on Reach. Winter contingency, basically. Instead of Noble Team being sent, these changes, and you see the Marines, instead of Army Troopers, I'm guessing, being sent, then the elites, they cloak in, and they kill them, and surprise, surprise, Maquis is actually alive. It wasn't just a vision, she was actually on the planet. And she seems to not like the elites playing with the humans, but I'm not sure why. I guess she has part of her humanity in her, but at the same time she's still helping the aliens, But yeah, this is like different from the Halo Reach, and Halo Reach was already different from the books, but at least they made it canon. This isn't. And yeah, so the Covenant is on Reach. But now the artifact is there, and the Maquis tries to touch it, but the episode ends before she can touch the artifact is 2 parts, remember? So she tries to get the other part. So overall, this episode had less action than the first episode, less Spartan action. It still had Quan Ha. I think Quan seems to be a bit better in this season than last one. But she does still getting. Why do so many people get angry? They just like have these emotional outbursts. Like, yes, sometimes it makes sense, but sometimes it's like, okay, you're just trying to be dramatic. But yes, she seems overall better so far, in my opinion. Although I feel like I don't know. She seems too good against those guys. Maybe she did probably have Soren teaching her, but still, The recurring issue that I have with the sort of going crazy and all of that is the sort of lack of medical personnel, psychological personnel, and the big lack of cameras because, like, you have helmet cameras, like I mentioned, and it's weird when you don't make use of them. This element that would just sort of remove a lot of the issues that are happening. It's like sort of plot convenience that, if this information, if this thing that's supposed to be there was there, then this whole drama wouldn't happen. As for the soldier and the family, it's kind of weird seeing that situation. Sure, I would definitely like to see the Canon John in certain situations, but I would like to see the Canon John's personality personally and see how he would adapt, react, and stuff. So the family, they're very hyped. They're saying, oh yeah, spirituality. Remember what I said? This show is being very spiritual, religious, and stuff. So interesting. They do bring up faith. They start saying the Padre Nuestro, which is our Father in Spanish, and they pray. The Master Chief is, just like there. So this is gonna be interesting. I think they're probably gonna bring out different faiths. Maybe we might see some Islam, maybe some Buddhists and Hindus. We'll see. Sikhs maybe. I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. To see what kind of religious elements they put into the show, sort of how it will tie. Because at the first episode, the shaman lady was telling him to sort of find his beliefs, his spirituality in a way. So there's definitely something going on. They're tying this in a spiritual level different than it is in canon, because in canon it's not quite like this. The Covenant have the religion, but it's not the same, and it's built on this false religion, whereas this tends to be sort of more, okay, maybe it is tied to the Forerunners, but it's still different in a way, where it feels more like magical in a way, so we'll have to see about that. The whole change from Halo Reach, it's a way different timeline and so on, so I guess Noble Team is not going to be seen in all of this. They've been replaced. Also, some of the Spartans, their names have been replaced as well. And what could happen next? Well, I'm assuming that they're still going to try to get the artifacts. They've been... So basically, the first planet they attack in the first season, in the first episode, season 2, I think that was like training to invade Reach. So the Covenant have been training to invade before glassing. It seems to be different from canon where, yeah, they glass, but they knew like the Forerunner stuff. They would only come down when it was, well, mostly only come down when it came to Foreigner relics and then invade. Yeah, there were some elements sometimes where they would come down to be honorable and all of that, and then glass them, finish them off like that. The Battle of Kolo as well. There's an animated version of The Return, which is very interesting. Who knows how it will fit into canon, but so you could say there's that element, but actually it does to me seem like they're training to invade Reach, and now they're on it, and they're gonna slowly ramp up to it. It's gonna take it's not gonna be instantaneous. They're gonna try subterfuge. They're gonna try to reclaim the artifacts, and I'm guessing that at the end of the season, they're gonna reunite them, and then the Covenant are gonna get them. They're gonna find the Halo and the Pillar of Autumn. So this whole season will be basically the fall of Reach, pretty sure. So from the name of the episodes, Sanctuary is the first one, Sword, as in, well, I thought it was going to be sword-based, but maybe not. Visegrad is the next one, so we'll focus on that. That's pretty self-explanatory. Reach, I guess it's going to be more conflict. Illyria, something is going to happen. Onyx, well, I'm not sure about Illyria. It is a planet in canon. Onyx will probably be seeing, that's when the Spartan trees are probably going to be appearing and stuff. Thermopylae, I think it's going to be when Reach, starts falling, the big battle for Reach, and then Halo continues that probably, and we'll see the intro of, the Halo on the Pillar of Autumn, and I'm guessing that we'll still see Captain Keyes commanding, because right now the relationships are not the best between Captain Keyes and the Spartans. But that's my speculation, and that's what seems to be happening in the next episode. So I guess the next episode will be next week, and that will be my next breakdown. So see you guys then.